All right, welcome to the first section of today's module where we will explore the project key stakeholders portion of our charter. Stakeholder management is an important topic in project management. It's important enough that we'll take a look at how to communicate with stakeholders in another video, as well as how to use their influence to make your project a huge success. Today, though, we will be covering two stakeholder-related items only. One, what's a stakeholder, and who might the stakeholders be in your project? And two, what are the requirements for each stakeholder? Or, to phrase the question more simply, how does the project's success benefit that person or that group of persons? Stakeholders are the groups or individuals who have an interest in the outcome of the project, although the interest that each group has is usually specific to them. Typical stakeholders can include shareholders, customers, suppliers, alliance partners, and members of your project team. The project team, and specifically the project manager and project sponsor, should take great care to communicate with these people. This is because good stakeholder management has a lot to do with whether or not your project is perceived as a success or as a failure. So, right off the bat, it's crucial to identify all the stakeholders of your project. You should probably start off with a good old-fashioned brainstorm. You can center your brainstorm around three main thoughts. One, think of all the people who are affected by your work. Two, think of all the people who have influence or power over your work. And three, think of all the people that have an interest in its successful or unsuccessful conclusion. As you can tell by the table on the right over here, the term stakeholder can apply to many different kinds of people and groups. Okay, at this point, we've finished our brainstorm and we know who the stakeholders are. Now, it's time to establish the requirements for each stakeholder. You'll have to ask yourself, how does that person or group benefit from the success of the project? Or, in other words, what's in it for them? Why should they care that the project succeeds? If you're unable to confidently answer these questions, just ask. Seek out the stakeholder and ask them. Remember, the requirements tend to vary depending on the stakeholder, as each stakeholder has their own specific interests in your project. Depending on who the stakeholder is, the stakeholder requirement could be one or multiple of the following examples: ease of use, improved safety, improved quality, and increased staff engagement. These are just a few examples of possible stakeholder requirements. Now, let's unpack an example of stakeholders and their corresponding requirements. So just for context, let's say that the workforce of a manufacturing facility is experiencing an increase in soft tissue injuries. Upon further investigation, the organization finds that a contributing factor to those injuries is the ongoing use of antiquated hand tools. Thus, the organization decides to replace the subpar hand tools with more ergonomic-friendly tooling. The first project stakeholder in this example we'll discuss are the team members, so the employees. They have three main requirements, as you'll see up here. First, fewer employees experiencing pain. This is because the implementation of ergonomic improvements can reduce the risk factors that lead to discomfort. Yay. Second, increase morale. Attention to ergonomics can make employees feel valued because they know their employer is making their workplace safer. And lastly, reduced absenteeism. Ergonomics leads to healthy and pain-free workers who are more likely to be present, engaged, and productive. Okay? That's it for that stakeholder. Now on to the organization. The organization has three main requirements. First, increased savings. This is due to fewer injuries, more productive and sustainable employees, fewer workers' compensation claims, etc. Second, increased productivity. Ergonomic improvements can reduce the primary risk factors for soft tissue injuries, so workers are more efficient, productive, have better job satisfaction, etc. And lastly, reduced absenteeism. As previously stated above, ergonomics leads to healthy, pain-free workers who are more likely to be engaged and productive, thus benefiting the organization. Now on to the last of the project key stakeholders. This may surprise you, but the families of the employees also would count as a key stakeholder. This stakeholder group has two requirements, first of which, continued financial stability. So if their loved one's not missing work due to soft tissue injuries, that means they're not on short-term disability, obviously. That means no missed income. Lastly, a better home environment. This is operating under the assumption that when we are feeling fulfilled at our job, we're happier at home. Better moods at home equal happier households. Okay, so there's a sample of stakeholder requirements.